Hey everyone, I'm Black, Dr. Darian here, emergency medicine physician, and I have a little bit of a different lesson today that revolves around comments such as this one. While that comment is based in ignorance and racism, I wanted to share with you an important tool that I've gathered when handling racism. In college, to make more money, I actually tutored physics, and during that time, I actually learned an important tool to help myself understand how other people were in their learning spectrum and how they best learned. Racism and anti-racism are learned abilities, so this applies. I still use this tool to this day when evaluating racism, and I wanted to share them with you, the 4 stages of learning. Stage 1, the learner who has unconscious incompetence to racism. This learner is unconscious to racism, meaning they don't know, and they are incompetent to fixing racism, meaning they don't know how to fix it. This person will likely require a lot of time in learning racism. They'll have to understand its history, its existence, whom it affects, and why it's important. Many would say stop here, it's too much work, but I have to say that I think that this is an okay starting point, because although it may require work, there are many people who have tremendous empathy and possess the ability to quickly learn and adapt. Sometimes I'll give them a quick example, for example, my difficulties renting out houses on Airbnb as opposed to my white counterparts, and I'll judge their response. And at that point, I can kind of decide how much effort I want to put into this education. Stage 2, conscious incompetence. This learner is aware of racism but doesn't exactly know what to do about it. This person will make statements such as, sure it exists, but there's nothing I can do to fight it. Now this is a tricky stage, and sometimes it's not worth my time. I use examples of the civil rights movements and discuss the citizens who weren't involved in it and assess whether they think complacency is a problem. From there, it can either go way uphill or way downhill, and I have to be very careful with these learners because sometimes in times of stress, this conversation can expose blunt racism and really ruin my day and waste my time. Stage 3, I think that this is the most common stage, the conscious, competent person. This person is aware that racism exists and is actively learning to try to fix it. Depending on their ability to self-educate, it can actually be quite an easy process, but I have to be careful with stage 3 learners because sometimes they put the weight of education on me and other people of color around them, and that can be an oppression of our time and a waste of our time. And stage 4, unconscious incompetence. This learner's skills are embedded in their actions and is fully aware that anti-racism requires continuous active work. This is that quote-unquote annoying staff member that's constantly asking the question of why is this office not diverse, and then following up with what can I do to change that? I think stage 4 has exponential growth opportunity. Now that I've taken you through my mini assessment on interpersonal education of the value of my life, a task that I do every single day, I'd like you to understand the most important part of this. Can you imagine what I could do with my time if I didn't have to spend time doing this on a daily basis? Me being tasked with the education of others around me regarding racism is an oppression of my time and has unfortunately affected the way I navigated medical school residency and now as a board-certified physician. I am exhausted, we are exhausted. If you're listening to this and you're not a person of color, do your part, buy a book, educate others around you, and do the work.